Hello, you beautiful fuckwads. Yes, I'm getting this out of the way. We are here to talk about Final Fantasy 15, which I didn't expect this to be a topic. For those that don't know, I'm live streaming Final Fantasy 7, which is why Final Fantasy 15 was probably not going to be on the list of things I wanted to talk about. So why Final Fantasy 15? What was going on through that dumb brain of mine? Well, two things. One, Final Fantasy 15 and I have had a interesting relationship. So I bought the game back when it came out in 2017, 2016. Played maybe the first chapter of what you're seeing right here, and I didn't like it. I mean, okay, so here's the thing. You get told that you're supposed to watch 6 episodes of an anime, a movie, and then you get to understand what's going on in the first 6 chapters. I was not a big fan of that, and when you kind of hear what was going on in the background of this game, a lot more starts to make sense. So, let's get this out of the way, because this is basically my I was wrong about Final Fantasy 15. So, Final Fantasy 15, for those that don't know what the plot is, the plot of Final Fantasy 15 is you play Noctis Lucius Caelum. Part of the Latin expression makes you sound way more important than you think you are, as he and his 3 other bro dudes, Ignis, Prompto, and Gladio, tried to bring him to a predestined wedding that has been planned since their literal birth. So let's get this out of the way. So here's the thing. They basically... I kind of like that I'm playing the first opening minutes of this game, because a lot of this whole wedding doesn't make sense unless you do your research. So, like, for instance, the question, why is this wedding a thing? Well, because there's a giant fucking war between the Magitech army and the Magic Crystal army. Now, of course, you're seeing a lot of complaining right now, and me being a little on edge about the game, and maybe I'll like it. We'll see. Anyway, so basically it's kind of Romeo and Juliet. In order for the two of them to bring peace to the world, we need a wedding. Cool. And so the first, I'm thinking, 6 chapters of the game is a giant-ass open-world road trip. And the weird thing about that first, 6 chapters is I loved the road trip part. Hell, I even kind of loved just deviating from the story. Because the biggest thing about this game that I loved, and I think they doubled down on, and I'm happy they did, is the friendship between the 4 bro dudes, the Backstreet Boys, the in-sync of the game. And they're great. They are fucking phenomenal. And while some of them have better prose than others, like if I had to pick my 2 favorite characters, one would be Prompto, also known as the gay dude, as one of my friends say, and then Ignis, who I call Devil May Cry if Square Enix decided to make a Devil May Cry game. So, half the cast is 10 out of 10 in my book. The other half is cliche anime stereotypes. We got Sasuke, played by Sasuke, and then we have Gladio, played by Travis Willingham. If you haven't seen Travis Willingham in any anime, you know you have, you just don't remember. Yes, look at that beautiful 15. Look at it. It's so pristine. Now, what are the issues? So, why is Magitech Armor and Magic Crystal faction going to war with each other? Well, the game never really makes it obvious, And unless you watch the Kingsglaive movie, or the anime, or play the 5 DLCs, it's about a ring. Yes, the one ring to king them all. I mean, rule them all. Yeah, so it's weird. There's a lot of plot points taken out of this game that would have been really important. And I mean really important. I did say I love this game, and I still attest to that. That being said, back in 2016, holy fuck, there were a lot of problems. So, yeah, first 6 chapters, love it for being this big open world video game. But then we hit chapter 7, 8, and 9. I think chapter 9 is when I'm like, okay, everything kind of makes sense now. And if I play the DLCs, I know what they were trying to do. They just didn't have the time for it. So there's a character that shows up, and I don't think we're going to be able to show it to you. His name's Arden, or as I like to call it, Square Enix kind of making fun of the Sephiroth fan base. He is like... And the reason why he acts the way he acts when I've realized it, or realized what's going on, is great. Because he's immortal. But anyway, spoilers for a 4-year-old game, by the way. But yeah, Arden is probably one of my favorite villains right now. Just because it's weird. Like, he's a villain you can get behind. Literally, figuratively. Fanbase, you know what you're doing. He's a villain you can get behind. And at the same time, you kind of understand what he's doing. So for those that don't know and have not played the Episode Arden DLC or watched Kingsglaive, TLDR, Arden's basically an atheist who basically wants to watch the death of the gods, and also while he's at it, he wanted to become the one true king. I mean, yeah. They even kind of hint at it in the main game, but for the most part, he just kind of wants the damn ring. And by doing that, he's kind of grooming Prince Noctis to be this, like, ultimate power. And it works, but it doesn't. I mean, cool, whatever. You do you, dude. So yeah, big props to Arden. So we have a great cast, we have a great crew, and we have a great villain. How's the story fair? So, well, I've only gotten through chapter 12. I know how the story ends. I've done most of the DLC. And I have done, basically by tomorrow, I should have the game finished. If I'm crazy enough to brute force through it. My opinion on the game was a 180. I mean, if you do not like that it's a giant-ass road trip for half of it, you're not going to like it. But, oh, yeah, Chapter 6. Chapter 6 was when I really started to get, like, big-eyed and bushy-tailed. Because what was in Final Fantasy VII Remake in, like, the opening mission, was not in this game. This game kind of put it a little bit closer to home, really made you have feelings for it, and wanted you to get to know the characters. Final Fantasy VII Remake, on the other hand, booyah! We're gonna fight a giant scorpion! And oh, by the way, Barrett's here, and Tifa, and... If you didn't like that, or if you wanted that in your Final Fantasy 15, you're not getting that. Final Fantasy 15 is a pristine walk through a nice Everglade area, and watch as the 4 men try to hunt down a bunch of beasts. I will say my favorite part of the side questing was not side questing, it was monster hunting. Yeah, there's kind of a Square Enix version of Monster Hunter just buried in here. Like that. Square Enix's version of Monster Hunter, and it's great. Like, 2 thumbs up, Square Enix. You made Monster Hunter great again. So So I figured out that you had to do side quests a lot to the point where basically food, gas, and water wasn't going to be an issue. And that's the thing. That's the other thing is we usually play video games like Doom, Control, Ghost of Tsushima, and even Sekiro if we're a sadist to escape. And what does this game make us do? Don't forget to refill your gas. Oh, by the way, you need money to eat. Yeah, this game kind of reminds you to live. Adult. This really should be called #Adulting Simulator 2020. Or 2021 in this case. I mean, literally, the opening minutes of the game is your dad kicking you out of the house, telling you and your bro dudes to go see your wife, get married, live at that cottage in Niflheim, and live happily ever after? Whoop-de-fucking-do? You see the issues I have with this plot, and it's not very many, but when you start looking at it from the first 6 chapters, which, yes, the first 6 chapters have a lot of issues. Like I said, it's once you meet the first summon boss, you kind of start to see where the story's going. And where it's going is basically fuck the wedding plot. Oh, the wedding plot, it was just a thinly veiled, it was a false treaty operation. We just wanted your fucking ring. We just wanted the crown. No, we didn't want you to get married. The minute that scene happens, I grinned from ear to ear and I go, oh, okay, cool. So what you're telling me is that the people who probably hated this game hated it because... And to be fair, again, I need to reiterate, you do not know that basically this is a wedding. I think it's between Terame and Insomnia. And then Niflheim's in the fucking background being like, but we want the ring. Give us the ring. Give us the fucking ring. Okay, now, to be fair, is the ring all that important? Yeah. Okay, so to give you an idea, for those of you who have never played this video game before. So, think of Lord of the Rings' One Ring of Power. Anyone can use it, turns them invisible, but the more they use it, they go mad. This ring's the exact opposite of it. Okay, so this ring is like, hey, you use it, but the gods judge the shit out of you. And if the scales of fate tip against you, you lose something precious. Your eyes, your arm, your butt, your libido. We don't fucking know. At worst, you might lose your life. Hell, if the king uses it, he might die. So this ring, in all intents and cases and purposes, really should have been destroyed. But that's kind of why it's the one king ring to rule, because he actually uses it to protect against people to steal it. Okay, so in the Kingsglaive movie, I actually have to reference the Kingsglaive movie, which I gotta say, after finishing that movie, it's pretty good. I joke, compared to the Snyder Cut, it's freaking Machiavellian. I was about to say in the Snyder Cut. In the Kingsglaive movie, we learn that the king gives his power to a certain militia. This is called the Kingsglaive. Again, this was some of the interesting lore I wish we saw. Like, I wish this was all like the prologue chapter we got in this Insomnia, so that we could kind of see a before and after shot. But this is the before shot we got to see. Whatever, don't care. Moving on. Anyway, so Insomnia is having a treaty with Niflheim. Niflheim has been wanting their magic forever. They've been using Magitech. And in the episode Prompto, it's implied in the game, and you kind of make guesses at it with how the armies of Niflheim act. that they have been fused with demons. And then episode Prompto's like, oh no, that guess you made, you were right. And on top of that, we can make matters worse. I feel like they're making another implication with the last 3 chapters. So it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to beat this. So Niflheim and Insomnia try to sign a treaty, basically saying, hey, with this wedding, there will be no war. And then the emperor from Niflheim is like, look, we don't need the treaty. We don't even need the fucking wedding. We just need your ring. And so they start causing chaos and all that stuff. And so Ravis, Lunafreya's brother, puts the ring on. They're just like, yeah, no, we're going to burn your arm. And it's great. But yeah, so all that stuff that I just told you about how, and like Nyx, played by Aaron Paul, got to wear the ring, and they're like, you get 5 hours to use our power as you see fit. But after that, you're dead. Now, I do think we see the other character that helped get Lunafreya to Niflheim, I think. I don't know. Maybe. But anyway, so what are some other things I like? Because so far all I've said is I've liked the supplemental material. So Gladio's episode DLC was good. It wasn't great. So I kept saying to myself, each DLC, Gladio, Ignis, and Prompto, was like Square Enix trying to make its own game. So like, for instance, Gladio was Final Fantasy meets Dark Souls. Because it really felt like they wanted to make a Dark Souls game. And I kind of played it like Dark Souls. That didn't help because with Gladio's combat, the more you blocked, the higher the multiplier. And then with Ignis might have been my favorite combat-wise. And actually, I hated Prompto's. Prompto's was a very bad version of Metal Gear Solid, and I think if I would have done it any other way, I would have just started grabbing random ass weapons. Because I think what they wanted you to do was like, if you saw is for you to scope out the area, grab weapons, and then. But anyway, that's not what I did. So I played Prompto wrong. That's on me. But Prompto still, I could tell they were like, let's make a Splinter Cell / Metal Gear Solid for Prompto. I will say, story beat wise, Prompto's is amazing because Prompto doesn't have that much character in the base game. He's just, let's take a selfie! And then the plot that they basically say, oh, by the way, you were supposed to be a demon, a half demon, half human, and infiltrate Noctis to kill him. I'm like, okay. Also, you were about to bone Ariana, so my ship is confirmed, and I am okay with this. If they don't get shipped at the end of the game, I will be sad. Anyway, what was the other stuff I liked? Let's talk about... Oh, Ignis. I didn't talk about Ignis. Ignis is probably my favorite game because they were like, hey, what if we did DMC, but Final Fantasy? And I didn't expect I'd love it, but I fucking loved it. Yes, I mostly did Blizzard for Ignis, but honestly, I kind of liked Zap most, because I'm like, oh, I kind of want to just zip zap everywhere. Zip, zap, zip, zap, zip, zap, zip, zap. And then that's it for the DLCs. I will say for the DLCs, this is like, for specifically Ignis and Prompto, this is stuff I wish they just kept in the game. And I get why they made it DLC, is because they were like, is because even when you played in the base game, you're like, oh, we don't need to know this. But it's almost like it's a benefit that you know this stuff. I can't wait to play Arden's DLC because it's going to be interesting, to say the least. Like I said, I know people are like, oh, but you got to look at the extraverse. I'm like, nope. I have things to do after this. And since I'm on vacation, I'm going to try and see if I can beat this. And at least figure out what the main continuity is. But anyway, so Chapter 9, Chapter 9, I was like, okay, so I get to travel around Final Fantasy's version of Italy. If Final Fantasy 7 is the version of Chicago, this is Italy. Like, they make it apparent that you're basically in this version of Europe. And so I've never expected that I was gonna find a new like contender for best boss of like my entire life, with one being like Gwyn from Dark Souls, and the other one being Virgil from Devil May Cry 5. This might take it. This might actually take it, because at first, so you're going up against Leviathan, big snaky Leviathan, scary, spooky, shitty, and he's spinning around wanting to eat you. And if he kills Noctis, he gets to eat all of Lucius, which is the name of the country. And so Noct is like, okay, and so Noct and me think, okay, I'm going to teleport to him and stab him. And like I teleport to him and stab him, and I only do like maybe 1 point of damage, and my brain goes, oh no! So I knew I was boned. So I just, play the game's game and try to keep wailing at him, only doing 1 point of damage, cry myself to sleep, assume that I'm going to die. Oh, by the way, fun fact, and note to anyone who's ever playing this game, make sure to stock up on healing items. Also note, your friends might use healing items. Might being the key word. Also, stock up on healing items. Don't forget to stock up on healing items. Did you stock up on healing items? You didn't? Oh, there's a part of the game where you are locked out of the world. I'm sorry. You're fucked. Anyway, so I was suffering a fate worse than death. And then I'm about to die, and Lunafreya's like, yo, I'm coming. Stabbed in the stomach. Arden going, yo, girl, I wanted to make you the new Aerith of this generation. The minute she got stabbed, I'm like, so I see Square Enix wants to make another Aerith, but I don't believe they want to make another Aerith. Truth be told, the first thing you see when you play this game is a Final Fantasy for newcomers and fans of all ages. And to be fair, this game, for the most part, again, taking everything into account, minus the anime, because I haven't watched it. Maybe I will watch it just to get a few details in. Does kind of do that. Look, for those of you that don't know, the only couple of Final Fantasy games I played is 7, 10, a little bit of 8, a little bit of 9. So not much. So don't come to me to know that I'm the expert of all things Final Fantasy. Anyway. So then Lunafreya gives like Noctis God mode. I think that's the only thing I can call it, is God mode. And it went from being a JRPG to an on-rail shooter. Not just any on-rail shooter, but like the one that I could kind of get behind. And the minute this happens, I'm like smiling from ear to ear, screaming, shouting, pissing off my neighbors all at the same time. And I didn't expect I would find the best boss in my lifetime in this game. Because I kind of finally figured this whole... By that point, I have figured out the story. That Arden wants to be king, no matter what the cost. And I know what happens in Chapter 14, and I'm like, oh yeah, no matter what the cost. He hates the gods so much. Which, yes, in this game... So, if I know how the Final Fantasy lore works, no matter which way you twist it, the assholes you summon are gods. It's just how are they represented? And in Final Fantasy 15, they are way more like gods in this than any other Final Fantasy 15 game. So that's why you don't summon them as often as you do. Again, the other reason why I love this game is they do make you earn that summon. It does make you feel like, oh shit, I just summoned a behemoth and it nuked the frickin' thing from orbit. So again, it makes you earn that shit. And actually, in my personal opinion, it makes you enjoy it. I think that's the thing. People thought they were just going to spam Summit, spam Bahamut Gear Strive. And nope. Again, if it's in how this world works, which again, brought to you by Coleman Grills. This world seemed very much more level-headed and a little bit steampunkier than your usual Final Fantasy. That it kind of made sense that summons was going to kind of be relegated to, oh, you need to do like 10 different things. To be fair, it was only 2 things. Or mostly 1 thing. You get all your summons through the story, but you mostly get them like... So how you get summons is you have to fight them in battle. Like straight up, you have to fight the gods in battle. So there's no way around that. But part 2 to all this is there are certain qualifications. Certain gods you will never be able to summon. It'll only be a one-time thing. That's the Thunder God and Bahamut. Just get used to that. But then there's some. One is like, are you at low health? Are you about to die? Summon! So, other things I like, camping, which I might as well talk about that real quick. Camping is amazing, and it makes you kind of enjoy the downtime you get. It also kind of lets you, like, plan your attack for the game and be like, okay, I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and then I'm going to go do this. Whew! So yeah, that's everything I love about the game. And by the way, after Chapter 9, the game just does not stop for me. It just keeps going. It's amazing. I'm trying to get Prompto back. I'm probably going to try and late tonight play Chapter 13 so that way I can get to the finale and see Insomnia and Into Ruins. But yeah, so all in all, is this a good game? Would I recommend this to my friends? Honestly, yes, with a couple of caveats. Get the Royal Edition. The Royal Edition gives you all the content that came out in the year with all the DLC. It gives you episode Ignis, Prompto, and episode Ignis, Prompto, and Gladio. And I think it's on a discount, so it's like $15. Then buy episode Arden. That's $5. That is $20. If you want to get a better idea of how much all this would have been, it would have been, so the DLC would have been $15, the base game is $60, and then Arden's $5. So this would have been $80. You're saving you're paying a fourth of what it would have originally cost. So I think the Royal Edition plus all the DLC, plus I'll admit, I really love coming back to this world. And that's something I actually have to admit with me and Omega doing our streams on Final Fantasy 7 Remake, which we will be doing our streams on Saturday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. What I love about Final Fantasy is it is escapism 101. And this shit's escapism. Like, I could eat this shit up. I want to learn more about this world. Like, that's the thing. Like, I enjoyed my time getting to learn this world, kind of piecemealing it, instead of how they did it initially, which was, hey guys, here's a movie, here's an anime, here's like all this stuff. And then the game comes out and it's so underwhelming because it's not like a big giant boss. Like, dudes, this thing that they're fighting right now was the first boss. again, compare it to Final Fantasy VII Remake. So, yeah. I want to say I'm sorry to Final Fantasy 15, because again, if you do the research, it was a product of happenstance. And again, do I think it needed like 10 more years in the kitchen? No. I think it had issues in the kitchen. I think it had too many cooks. I think Nomura should have had more of his voice. Like, literally, Chapter 9... Chapter 9 has darkness and light levels, like Kingdom Hearts level of dialogue in that chapter. But it's only that chapter, so it's so, like, out of nowhere jarring. Anyway, hey guys, if you like what you see here, this is the end of the video. Click like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. And by the way, we will be doing a live stream of Final Fantasy VII Remake. We're trying to get to that end of the game before the end of March. But if we can't, we will push to the beginning of April. And to everyone, I say, the night is dark and full of terrors. But anyway, guys, if you like, I hope you like and enjoy this. I will be seeing you next time. Scar!